Randy McDaniel, author, educator, and artist in malleable metals. A historic spa and art-filled town nestled in the West Virginia mountains. In the eastern panhandle where West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania all come together. Just 30 miles from Winchester, Virginia, 45 miles to Hagerstown, Maryland, only 100 miles from Baltimore, Maryland, or Washington, D.C., and less than 150 miles from Pittsburgh or 180 miles from Philadelphia. Berkeley Springs has lovely stores, restaurants, art galleries, spas, classic inns, B&Bs and cabins, live music, festivals, beautiful vistas, plus 2 state parks. Welcome to Expressive Metals' fully equipped blacksmithing shop. Tongs, coal forge, anvil, 60-ton hydraulic forging press, post vise, enclosed welding and grinding room. Two more anvils, vise, and gas forge so that all 3 students have their own work area. Scenes from a beginner's blacksmithing class. Mr. McDaniel used the whole morning to demonstrate the basics of hammering and the steps in making a wall hook. The whole afternoon, each student will forge their own hooks with Randy's guidance. Here, Randy is showing the student how to maintain a coal forge. This class was taught while taking precautions due to the pandemic. This is a good project to learn forging heat and how hard one has to hit the hot metal. Besides getting used to the use of the fire and working around the anvil. And everyone has finished work to take home with them at the end of the day. Here are just a few of the other projects Randy teaches in his classes. Topics include tool making, heat treating, colonial ironwork, scroll and tong making, forge welding, animal heads, basic knife making, and many others. So why take a class from Randy McDaniel? Because of his background and experience, plus economical classes. Mr. McDaniel started blacksmithing in 1972 with a class at the local farm museum with Marshall Crumbacker, an 81-year-old smith, who in 1912 had worked at the Hanover Wagon Works, forging parts for the Wells Fargo wagons and other commercial horse-drawn vehicles. He then took classes with many prominent smiths. Here he is with Frank Turley in 1975. Francis Whitaker and Ivan Bailey were 2 others. Plus there were local retired smiths, many wagon makers. These smiths not only taught Randy the basics of forging, but also the hows and the why things are the way they are. The American Bicentennial provided the restoration of buildings, which then required iron hardware, and a unique opportunity to practice the skills that he had been taught. Everything from fireplace cooking equipment to Revolutionary War reenactment equipment to forged tools, all made the traditional way. He even had to make locks and keys. Due to the demand for his work and his reputation, he became a full-time smith in 1976 and was already in demand for his teaching skills. Originally, classes were done at the farm museum where he took his first class and at his own shop. In 1988, Randy was baptized as a master smith by Manfred Bredall of Aachen, Germany. Most of Randy's time was still spent forging, but his work was coming to life. Birds, leaves, flowers and branches, vines and grapes, even used with lighting, dragons, a hawk, a gate that looks like wood grain, new design ideas for railings, and still the occasional restoration job. Randy always expands his knowledge of forging and its equipment from mechanical and air hammers to his 60-ton hydraulic forging press. His largest commission to date was his design for the entranceway for the children's garden at Hershey Gardens in Hershey, Pennsylvania. This was an opportunity to not only design, but also to create fun and whimsical items by hot forging steel. A beautiful entranceway and sign with large Hershey kisses, flowers, a large bumblebee with a Hershey kiss stinger, with iron roses to connect with her gardens, plus a life-size pileated woodpecker on the bird blind inside of the gardens. Mr. McDaniel always creates quality in his designs and work. Besides teaching at his own shop, Mr. McDaniel has taught nationwide at major art colleges and craft schools, taking him coast to coast and even to Newfoundland to teach classes. Besides demonstrating for many blacksmithing groups, Randy has twice been a demonstrator for the Artist Blacksmith Association of North America. In 1998, Mr. McDaniel wrote a blacksmithing primer, which has sold over 28,000 copies worldwide to date and is used by many universities, craft schools, and individuals to learn the craft of blacksmithing. This was also made into an almost 6-hour-long DVD set. In 2014, he wrote his second book, Hydraulic Forging Press for the Blacksmith. Since 2006, Mr. McDaniel has experimented and specialized in work created on his 60-ton hydraulic forging press. This requires him to create a lot of specialized tooling, which he enjoys making. This allows Randy to squish hot metal as if it were clay in his hands, as he has fun experimenting and learning what he can do with this power. Seashells, dog paw leash hooks, and a collection of high-end forged bronze belt buckles. So, will this be your place in Expressive Metals' next class? Randy hopes so. Class schedules are posted on Facebook on both Expressive Metals and Randy McDaniel's pages, plus many blacksmithing pages.